That brings us to the very last level, which could even be above the levels, the level above the levels, on the business, not in the business, you know what I'm saying. Enjoy your wealth. Let's talk about it. In my opinion, there are really just two levels of wealth. Level one is that you have all of your personal needs taken care of. The second level of wealth is the unlimited level of wealth, which is that you just always want to keep using money to make more money. And that means that you've progressed from solving your personal needs to playing a game. And so I think what a lot of people do is they can never figure out what enough is for them. And there was a period of my life earlier on where I was like, okay, let me figure out all these rich people things. I bought a Bentley. I was like, let's go out to all the nicest restaurants every single night. But the thing is that to live like the 1%, it's actually not that expensive. If you fly private, it costs about $50,000 per month. If you want to eat out every night of the week at the nicest restaurants, of $500 dinners every single night, it's $15,000 a month. If you wanted to, let's say, lease a Lamborghini or something, payments are probably $5,000 a month, right? On top of that, let's say you want to go and buy designer clothing. So that's another $15,000 per month. Let's say you spend $5,000 a month on a nutritionist and another $5,000 a month on therapy and performance coaching, whatever. All right, let's just call it a cool $100,000 per month of expenses. Oh, we forgot where we live. Let's live somewhere balling. Let's put another $50,000 a month on here. So $150,000 a month is just under $2 million a year in income. Now that's after tax, right? So maybe closer to $4 million a year in income. Now that's a good amount of money. It's actually not a lot in the massive scheme of things. And what I mean is that you can ball out all the way balls to the wall for the rest of your life on this level of income. What I would encourage you to do is actually figure out what is good for me. Maybe it's worth it to taste these things and see which of them you actually enjoy. And I think it was really valuable for me to buy the Bentley and realize I didn't care. And then I gave it back 6 months later. I sold it back at a loss. And so I think the big TLDR here is that you need to figure out what your personal dream list is. And a lot of people have these huge goals, like, I want to be a billionaire. It's like, why? Because you can just make this for the rest of your life and ball out. But real, you can probably live incredibly comfortably on $50,000 a month. Like still, 1% living, unbelievable wealth looking stuff for $50,000 a month after taxes. So I think if you put, what does food look like, right? What does travel look like? What does clothing look like? What does experiences look like? What does health look like? And you start putting an actual number to it, you realize that what you actually need to satisfy your personal needs are significantly less than you originally thought. And so that brings me to the next level of this, which is the game itself. Now there's a reason that my podcast is called The Game. And it's because at this point, I play the game because I enjoy the game. And so the whole concept of enjoying your wealth is not about not working. And I think this is one of the big myths. You might feel that way now because you hate what you do. And the fact that you hate what you do is one of the reasons you might not ever get the wealth you want. And so it's not about not working. It's about getting addicted to freedom. And freedom, again, doesn't mean you don't work. It means you have the option to work. And so I believe that humans are our best when we do work that's worth doing, when we have purpose that we derive from the effort and the toil that we put in every day. And you get weaker when you don't have an opposing force that's as strong as you. If you lift weights and you never lift even close to your maximum, you eventually start losing muscle. And I think it's the same thing with mental strength. Unless you're continually raising the bar, you eventually atrophy. It's use it or lose it. And so most of us want to become the best versions of ourselves. And in order to become the best versions of ourselves, we have to increase the difficulty of the level that we're playing on. Imagine playing a game that you've beaten 100 times and then you put it on the easiest level. It gets boring. We think we want easier, but we don't. We want to do things that we enjoy more. And enjoyment and easy are not necessarily the same thing. And so if we're trying to enjoy our wealth, it's finding the things that we can lose ourselves in for the rest of our lives. And being okay with the fact that that thing may shift over time in terms of what it looks like or what it feels like. And if you fast forward all the way to the end of the movie, as a reminder, you die and you can't take any of it with you. And so even if you finish your life with this big pile of money at the end, you still have to push it over the edge of the cliff, right? Or it just falls off to other people whose hands are here because you're dead. And so Reminding myself of that fact every single day reminds me that the whole point of the game is to play the game. And by playing the game, we win the game. Because the best games in life, and I'll finish with this, the best games in life are infinite games, not finite games. And I'll tell you the difference. The point isn't to get married, the point is to stay married. When it comes to business, the point isn't to win at business. The point is to stay in business and literally keep playing. And so when we think about the greatest games that we play as humans, we have to take this infinite frame, or we fool ourselves into a false finite prison that we keep wondering why we don't feel like we're winning when we get to the finish line, because we never realized that there was no finish line to begin with, and the fact that we were playing the game secured our victory by its very nature. And so this realization helped me reframe how I thought about spending my time so that I could enjoy my wealth. The point for me is to stay in business and see who I can become in this process. The point is for me to see, what does it look like at 20 years of marriage? With health, it's not that like, cool, I've been training for 20 years. I'm in decent shape. I wonder what it looks like when I'm healthy at 50. Because if you're only in shape for 6 weeks of your life, or 6 months of your life, or even 6 years of your life, who cares? If you only have a good marriage for a few years of your life, who cares? If you're only in business and then go out of business really quickly and then you get out of the game, who cares? And which is why the biggest takeaway that you can have, and this is from Winston Churchill, you win as long as you never quit. And so, that's how you enjoy your life and your wealth, and there's your blueprint.